Bonjour and good morning. Welcome to WASA Distance Education and PLAR English. And today we're going to continue on with lesson 1 from where we left off on Monday. And as I mentioned on Monday, after class, once I go through the key questions, make sure you send those key questions out. Try to finish them that day and send them out to me that day so that I can get them marked and give you some feedback quickly. So just a reminder, a few things. There are 2 classes per week, so Mondays and Wednesdays from 11 till 12 Central Standard Time if you want to attend classes. 2 ways to participate in classes. You can participate on radio or via Zoom. So for radio, just call into our studio and you will hear the class. For Zoom, use the information in your study guide to join a Zoom class, or you can ask your DEC or contact me. And with the Zoom class, you will get audio and video, both. Okay. All PLAR English students are welcome to attend classes, so you don't have to be signed up for radio Zoom classes. As long as you're signed up for PLAR English, you can attend the classes or watch the recorded classes. To contact me, you can use email, phone, or send a message on Facebook. And students who were working on the PLAR previously, so from last year, if you started it last year and you didn't finish it, you can keep working on the key questions and continue to submit them to your teacher. Just make sure that you have signed up for this school year. Okay, so make sure that you have sent in an application either online, by stopping by WASA, or talking to your DEC. And that way your records are updated. And we can enter your marks as we get them. So again, make sure that you are signed up for the new school year. The PLAR classes, the recordings of the classes from last year are available on YouTube and will be updated as we record new classes. So you can still go to YouTube for the PLAR Math if that's what you're working on, or the PLAR English if you're ahead of where we are in class. Though classes from last year are still available on YouTube for you to watch. Okay, something new this year for PLAR students. We are offering students the opportunity to write the culminating activity before starting on the lessons and key questions. So if you have good language skills or good math skills, then you can request to write the culminating activity basically instead of doing the lessons and key questions. Then if you pass the culminating activity, you don't have to do the key questions, and then you can move on to the next subject. And then you can do the same with the next subject as well. You can try the culminating activity first, and again, if you're successful, then you just pick your next subject. If you are not successful with the culminating activity, then you will have to go through the lessons and complete the key questions. And then once you've done that, then you get to write the culminating activity again, or a different version of the culminating activity, and try to pass it again. Okay, just a reminder, there are 2 types of questions in the lessons. We have support questions and we have key questions. Okay, the support questions are the practice questions that you do before you do the key questions. So the answers to the support questions are at the end of the lesson. So right after you finish the lessons, there are the answers to the support questions, and then the next section is your key questions. So do the support questions as you go through the lesson. Check your answers at the end to make sure you're doing it correctly, and if you're getting most of the support question answers correct, then you move on to the key questions. If you're struggling with the support questions, then you need to reread the lesson, rewatch the class, or contact me for help. Okay, the key questions are the questions that you send out to me for marking, and if you look, answers to the support questions don't have any marks and they're scattered throughout. The key questions have marks and they are all found at the end of the lesson. So they're at the end of the lesson, so it's easy for you to just pull them off and send them out to us. Okay, so again, only the key questions to be submitted for marking, and you need to start working on them right away and submit as you finish them. Don't wait until the entire lesson is done. Okay, so to submit your work, there are several different ways of doing that. First of all, you can give it to your DEC and they will send it out to us here in Sioux Lookout. If your learning center is closed or you don't have a DEC, then you can submit your own work. You can scan and email your own work. If you have access to a scanner, to studentwork@nnec.on.ca, and make sure you CC it to me. That way 2 people get it. So if one person is away and nobody else can access that email, or something goes wrong and you type in the wrong address, then hopefully the other person will get the work, and that way it won't get lost. Or if you have access to a fax machine, you can fax to our toll-free number. Okay. If that doesn't work for you, don't have a fax machine, or you can't get your hands on a scanner, then you can still submit your work using your smartphone. Okay, with your smartphone, you can take photos of your work, or you can scan your work with the built-in scanner on your phone, and then you can email it to studentwork@nnec.on.ca, and again, make sure you CC it to me, or you can send it via Facebook Messenger. Okay, so any work, culminating activity, key questions, whatever, you can submit them using Facebook Messenger. Another option, if you live in Sioux Lookout or the surrounding area, or you come to Sioux Lookout often, you can use our outdoor mailbox, which is located on the side of the building in the parking lot. Just pop your work in there, or you can knock on the front door off Front Street and give it to someone in the building. You can also use Google, so you can use Google Docs to do your work, and then you can send me the link so that I can access your work. Or you can use Google Classroom. And with Google Classroom, it can be completely paperless. You can do everything online. You can read the lessons online, and you can submit the work online. Or you can read the work online and then write your answers online paper if you want. Okay, so a couple different options for that. So lots of different ways to complete and submit your work. So please contact me if you are stuck with any of your work or with how to submit it, so I can let you know. Okay, so continuing on with our lesson 1. Before we pick up where we left off, we're just going to do a quick review of what we talked about in class on Monday. So on Monday we talked about capitalization and punctuation. And I said that capitalization and punctuation go hand in hand, because when you're capitalizing words, then you need to know if you need a capital letter, for example, after a period, or after a comma, or after another punctuation mark. When do you need to use capital letters? So they kind of go hand in hand. So, capitalization guide. Some of the things that are capitalized we talked about on Monday, the pronoun I. So whenever you're talking about yourself and you're using I in a sentence, that is always a capital letter. Okay? It's never a lowercase letter, always capitalized. The first word of every sentence. So the first letter, not the whole word, but the first letter of the first word of every sentence needs to have a capital letter. I'll check them off. The first word in a direct quotation. So for example, Brian told me, don't go there or else. So the first letter of that first word needs to have a capital letter. Here's the example of the first word in a sentence. My is the first word, so the M needs to be capitalized. All proper nouns and proper adjectives. So Laura is American. The words Laura and American are proper nouns, so they need capital letters. The first word in the greeting and closing of a letter. So if you're writing to someone, dear Margaret, or to somebody, usually we say dear for a letter, need a capital letter. And then for the closing, sincerely yours, yours truly, whatever, the first word needs a capital letter. Names of people and also the initials or abbreviations that stand for those names. So basically a proper noun, like I mentioned before. So Richard G. Smith, the G, the abbreviation, or the initial, sorry, G, needs a capital letter as well as the first and last name. Titles used with names of persons and abbreviations standing for those titles. So Mr. Edward Simpson, Dr. Edward Simpson, Professor Edward Simpson, they would all need capital letters in addition to the names, the person's name. Geographical names and sections of the country or world. So for example, the Pacific Ocean and Europe, those are proper nouns as well, so they need capital letters. Sioux Lookout, capital S, capital L. Names of languages, races, nationalities, religions, and proper adjectives formed from them. So English, Asian, Irish, Catholic, American, those words all need capital letters. Names of days of the week, months of the year, and special holidays. So Monday, January, Christmas, Halloween, Easter as well. Names of historical events, documents, and periods of time. So Civil War, Magna Carta, Stone Age. All need capital letters. Names of organizations, associations, teams, and their members. So World Health Organization, you've probably heard of WHO, the World Health Organization. So needs capital letters because it's the name of a specific organization. American Public Health Association, Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan, person's name again. So names of teams, etc. Abbreviations of titles and organizations. So like I said, the World Health Organization, WHO, needs all capital letters. ONU, APHA, all need capital letters. Names of business and official names of their products. So McDonald's, Big Mac, Nike is another one I mentioned on Monday. Timu, those all need capital letters. The first letter of the first, last, and other important words in a title. So that can be the title of a movie, the title of a book, the title of a song, whatever. So Diary of Anne Frank is the title of a book. The D, the A, and the F need a capital letter. The of does not need a capital letter. Okay? Words like of, in, the, to, do not need capital letters in titles. And words such as mother, father, aunt, and uncle, when these words are used as names. So, Mother Teresa of Calcutta. So, Mother Teresa, mother, the word mother is being used as a name. So, her first name is Mother, her last name is Teresa. If you said, Mom bought a new hat, then the word mom needs a capital letter because you're using the word mom instead of the person's name. Or you're using it as the person's name. Okay, so those are the places you use capital letters. So be very careful and don't use them where they don't need to be used because otherwise it's incorrect. Okay, punctuation. Okay, so the different punctuation marks. The first one is a full stop. We just say it's a period. But if you ever see full stop, it's the same thing as a period. So a period shows the end of the sentence. It shows that you're finished talking about that idea. Okay, you stop, you take a little bit of a pause before you move on to the next thing. A question mark shows that a question is being asked. So you're asking somebody something. Do you know where the bathroom is? You're asking. You want to get an answer. So a question mark goes at the end of a question. Comma. Now comma has several different uses. We talked about them on Monday. So a comma joins two or more ideas in a sentence. So Bonnie and Jovi go for a walk at lunchtime. So Bonnie goes for a walk at lunchtime and Jovi goes for a walk at lunchtime. or separates items in a series. So if you're listing a whole bunch of things, so I went to the grocery store and I bought apples, comma, bananas, comma, peaches, comma, and yogurt. Okay, so comma goes after each one of those items. Exclamation mark shows strong emphasis or strong emotion. Okay, when you use an exclamation mark, make sure you only use one. You don't need to put in 2 or 3 exclamation marks. An exclamation mark shows strong emotion already, so you don't need to use several of them. Okay, so this would be used if you're really passionate about something, so you might be angry or you might be trying to stop somebody from doing stuff, something, don't run across the road, then you would use an exclamation mark. Okay, quotation marks, these things, usually they're not that way. I call them a 66 and a 99 because the beginning looks like a 66 and the end looks like a 99. They show that words have been directly quoted. So directly quoted means that generally somewhere in that sentence it will say Bonnie said, or Bonnie yelled, or Bonnie replied. Okay, and then whatever it was I said. So Bonnie said, don't run across the road. So what I said was, don't run across the road. So the 66 and the 99, or the quotation marks, would go on either end of what I said. Okay, a colon, the 2 dots, one on top of the other. A colon introduces the information that comes after it. So this is what I want you to take, colon. Your tent, your hiking boots, food, and your camera. So there would be a colon before that list of items. Semicolon, a period, excuse me, on top and a comma on the bottom is basically what it is. So a semicolon connects 2 complete sentences, excuse me, that are related. Okay, so 2 things that are basically about the same topic. So for example, if you're talking about what your parents do, you might say, my mom is a doctor, semicolon, my dad is an accountant. Okay, so they're connected because they're both those sentences are about what your parents' jobs are. And so instead of making 2 complete sentences with a period in between, you can join them with a semicolon so that the pause is not as long. An apostrophe, basically a 9, does not sit on the line. All the other puncture marks that we've looked at so far, when you write them, they basically sit on the line or hang from the line. An apostrophe doesn't. An apostrophe kind of floats in the air type thing. So it's used to show possession or for contraction of words. So if instead of saying do not, we will often say don't. So D-O-N apostrophe T. So the apostrophe takes the place of the O in the word not. And in most contractions, that's what it does. The apostrophe replaces the O. Won't, W-O-N apostrophe T, short for will not. Okay. To show possession, basically to show ownership. So to show that somebody owns something. So my sister's dog, so I would spell it S-I-S-T-E-R apostrophe S. So that apostrophe tells me that it's my sister's dog, not I have more than one sister. So let's extend the page here. So I could write, if I write my sister's without an apostrophe, that means that's plural. That means more than one sister. If I write sisters with an apostrophe S, that shows ownership. That shows that something belongs to my sister. Okay, so that's the difference between an apostrophe S and just an S. So be careful of that. Okay, the hyphen is used to form compound words. So part-time, like a job, we put a hyphen in it. It's not one word that's joined together. There's a hyphenated word. Mother-in-law, or father-in-law, or brother-in-law, or sister-in-law, mother hyphen in law. They all have 2 hyphens in them. So form compound words. A slash is used to separate letters, numbers, or words. So for example, for numbers, for fractions, a half, 3/4, you'll see that in recipes lots. Kilometers per hour, we use a slash. Okay, and there's other things. If you wanted to say, you're talking about somebody and you don't know if it's a boy or a girl, you might go boy/girl. Okay, or people in general, you might go boy/girl. An ellipsis, so the 3 dots that you sometimes see, shows that something has been removed from the sentence. So something has been left out, not necessarily taken out, but left out. And it could be a letter or it could be a word. So if you're copying something and you want to say, in this example, or this example shows ... Okay, and you're not putting in what it shows. So if you're just like copying something from a book and you don't want to write out the entire sentence, you just want to focus on that little part that you need, you can use an ellipsis to show that something has been removed from the sentence. And then parentheses or brackets are used to add extra information in a sentence. So my daughter, and you might put in brackets your daughter's name, went to the store or whatever. Okay, so that's punctuation and capitalization. And like I said, they generally go hand in hand because they help us, punctuation and capitalization help us with our writing, with our communication. All right, so in lesson 1 so far, we have done nouns and pronouns, verbs, and all the other parts of speech. We've done capitals and punctuation. So today, we're going to look at types of sentences and combining sentences. So in your lesson, excuse me, beginning on page 30 is information on what a sentence is. So starting on page 30, page 31, page 32, all talk about sentences. Page 33 starts talking about making clear sentences. So making sure that everything you need in your sentence is there. Okay, page 35. And page 36 is your support question. Your second support question on sentences, or page 35, sorry. So again, make sure you do the support questions, then check your answers in at the end before you move on to the key questions. Okay, so what is a sentence? And of course, you've heard me talking about sentences quite a bit, but what is a sentence? A sentence is a group of words, so it's generally more than one word, giving a complete thought. Okay, a sentence must contain a subject and a verb, although one may be implied. For example, my dog loves to chase her tail. So that's a group of words, and it gives one complete thought. I'm just telling you one thing that my dog loves to do. My dog loves to chase her tail. Another sentence, go to your room. It's one thing, complete thought. Go to your room. It's got a subject or a noun and a verb. So we know what a noun, a naming word. So in the first sentence, dog. What about my dog? Loves to do something. Go is the verb, and it's understood, the noun or the subject is understood to be you. Okay, so if I'm talking to someone, I'm talking to you, I'm saying go to your room, then it's understood that it's you that's going to the room. So sometimes the subject is not right there, but it's understood to be there. So a more formal definition of a sentence, and this is from a dictionary, a sentence is a set of words that is complete in itself, typically containing a subject and predicate. So your subject is basically your noun, the predicate is the verb, conveying a statement, question, exclamation, or command, and consisting of a main clause and sometimes one or more subordinate clauses. So these are the different types of sentences that we will be looking at: a statement, a question, an exclamation, and a command. So the 4 types of sentences. Number 1 is a declarative sentence which states a fact and ends with a period. So basically think of you're declaring something. So I like to take a walk at noon. Okay, so just I'm stating a fact. I'm saying something, and I have a period at the end of my sentence. So that's one sentence, I'm done. That's one idea right there. I like to take a walk at noon. Okay? An imperative sentence is a command telling someone to do something, or a polite request asking somebody to do something. It ends with an exclamation mark, or it can end with a period. So, for example, I used this one earlier. Don't run across the road. Okay? So basically, like you're yelling at someone, don't run across the road. Okay, so I could say don't run across the road and end it with a period, but it doesn't have the same impact. But what I'm doing is I'm commanding, I'm telling someone not to do something. Or I could say, please go to the store for me. Okay, and that's a polite request. I'm basically asking somebody to go to the store for me. So that's also an imperative sentence. And you can see from these sentences, don't run across the road, there's no noun in there. Or there is a noun in there, but there's no subject. So the subject is basically, I'm talking to you. So you, the subject, is understood. And generally when we're issuing a command or making a polite request, we don't say the name of the person. And again, with please go to the store, it's understand that the subject is you. I'm talking to you. Please go to the store, I'm talking to you right in front of me, or whatever. Don't run across the road, I'm talking to a specific person. So the subject is understood. Although it's not written in there. We don't usually say, you don't run across the road, or you, because then we're calling people you, which is not very polite. Okay, in an imperative sentence, an order, or an interrogative sentence, a question, the subject or verb is often implied, like I just mentioned. So run, if you're telling someone to run, you don't usually say you run, you just say run, or go, or when you ask why. Okay, so those types of sentences, the subject is often implied. Okay, so an interrogative sentence now is a sentence that asks a question and ends, of course, with a question mark. Okay, so why are you running? Okay, question mark. I'm asking a question. I want an answer. I want somebody to tell me why they're running. So why are you running? Why are you shouting? Where are you going? Those are all interrogative sentences. And then an exclamatory sentence expresses excitement or emotion, and of course it ends with an exclamation mark. So that was amazing. Okay, you're very impressed. That was amazing. That's an exclamatory sentence. Tell me what's wrong. Whoops. Okay, so if somebody hurts themselves, falls down or whatever, you're saying, tell me what's wrong with your hand. You know, they can't speak or whatever. You're have strong emotions. Tell me what's wrong with your hand, or you know, why did you do that? That's a question, interrogative sentence. But anyway, so expresses excitement or emotion. So very emotional. Okay, so let's do some practice identifying sentence types. So remember, 4 sentences: declarative, statement, just stating a fact; interrogative, question, you're asking something; imperative, giving a command or a polite request; or exclamatory. Okay, and add the correct punctuation at the end of each sentence. So declarative sentence, a period; interrogative sentence, a quotation mark, question mark; Imperative can be exclamation mark or period. Exclamatory will have an exclamation mark. Okay, so number 1, pick up some more milk when you pass by the supermarket. Okay, so you wouldn't shout this. You probably wouldn't show a lot of emotion. You would just make a basic statement. Pick up some more milk when you pass by the supermarket. So period, and that's a declarative. I'm just going to put declare. Okay. Number 2, what is the new password? Okay, so this time you're asking something. So you need a question mark, and that is an interrogative. Okay, you're asking something, and you need a question mark. Number 3, take a good look at this financial chart. Okay, now, this one, you're telling somebody to do something. Okay, so for this one, it could be one or the other. So telling somebody, so that would be imperative. You know, you're telling somebody to do something. So actually, what I mean is we could do punctuation. Just tell me, take a good look at this chart, financial chart, just basic, or take a good look at this financial chart. We might want a period at the end, or we might want an exclamation mark, depending on how you're saying it. But it is, because you're telling somebody to do it, it is an imperative. P-E-R-A-T-I-V-E. It's an imperative sentence. Even though you have an exclamation mark, it's still, you could have an exclamation mark, it's still an imperative statement because you're telling somebody to do something. Number 5, I'm sick and tired of this rainy weather. Now, how would you say that? You could say, like I just said it, I'm sick and tired of this rainy weather, or you could say, I'm sick and tired of this rainy weather, and you could use an exclamation mark. So it could be declarative, or it could be exclamatory, depending on how you want to say it. So I'm going to put in D or E. Either one could be correct. Number 6, go get another paper towel from the kitchen. Okay, so this one again could be imperative, because you're telling it's imperative because you're telling somebody to do something, but you could use a period or an exclamation mark, depending on how you want to look at that. Number 7, where do we keep the spare batteries? So this one, you're asking something, so it's an interrogative. Number 8, this phone bill is highway robbery. Now, so you're talking about a phone bill. Highway robbery means it's a very expensive phone bill. So this phone bill is highway robbery. So exclamation mark, this is an exclamatory sentence. Okay, you're stating a fact, but you're putting a lot of emphasis behind it, a lot of emotion behind it. So it's exclamatory. Number 9, may I have a clean plate? You're asking for something, so it's interrogative. And needs a question mark. Did the door lock behind you? Again, asking something, interrogative. Okay, number 11, there is no way I'm going to let you get a tattoo. Okay, this is, parent talking to a child or whatever. There is no way I'm going to let you get a tattoo. So that would, strong emotion, so that would be an exclamatory sentence. Number 12, what was in the box that was left outside? Question. You're asking something, so interrogative. Number 13, you can find more paper towels in the cabinet under the sink. Telling somebody something, declarative. Stating a fact. Giving information. Did you enjoy the lasagna I cooked for you? Question mark. Asking a question. And number 15, my iPod was here just a minute ago, and now it's gone. So how would you say that? Probably exclamatory. Okay, so my iPod was here just a minute ago and now it's gone. So you put emotion into that. That's not something that you just really say. Okay, so those are the different types of sentences. Okay, so as I mentioned before, a sentence is a complete thought. So to be a complete thought, a sentence needs, as I've mentioned a few times, a subject, which is a noun or a pronoun, and a predicate, which is basically a verb. So the subject of the sentence refers to the part of the sentence that tells who or what the sentence is about. The subject is a noun, pronoun, or noun phrase. So for example, Kelly walked down the street. So when you're talking about the subject of a sentence, basically if you ask who or what did something, or who or what is the sentence about, because you can't always ask who did something. So who walked down the street? Kelly did. So Kelly is a noun. Kelly is the subject of the sentence. They went to school. Who or what went to school? They did. They, in this case, is a pronoun. And the black cat slept all day. Who or what slept all day? The black cat slept all day. The black cat is what we call a noun phrase because it's made up of more than one word, but it's the subject of the sentence. Okay, there are a few different types of subjects. So a simple subject is just one word, like Kelly, without any modifiers, usually a noun or a pronoun. So it could be I walked down the street or he walked down the street. It's a simple subject. A complete subject is the simple subject plus all the modifiers. So like the black cat. So the cat is a noun. The black, and black, the black modifies the word cat, the noun cat. And a compound subject is made up of more than one subject element. Okay, so for example, simple subject, Kate is a nice girl. One word. Noun, or in this case a noun. Complete subject, Jeffrey's poem about his mother. Okay, so this is the simple subject, which is the poem, plus all the modifiers. Whose poem? Jeffrey's poem. What was the poem about? About his mother. Okay, so that's a complete subject, so it's a little bit more complicated. And then a compound subject, Paul and Tommy. So more than one subject element. So Paul and Tommy joined the soccer team at the same time. And the subject comes before the verb. So Kate is the verb. Jeffrey's poem about his mother made the class cry. Paul and Tommy joined the soccer team. So those are your verbs. So the subject comes right before the verb. The predicate of a sentence includes the verb and everything that follows it. This typically tells what the subject does with an action verb or describes the subject using a linking verb and a complement. So for example, Kelly, what did Kelly do? She walked down the street. Walked is the verb. Down the street is what comes after the verb. They, what did they do? Went to school. Went is the verb. To school is what comes after it. The black cat slept all day. Slept is the verb. All day is what comes after it. Okay, so walked, went, and slept are the verbs. Walked down the road, went to school, slept all day. Those are the complete predicate. Okay, so we also have a simple predicate. Harry, what did he do? Cried. One word. A complete predicate, the mouse, what did the mouse do? Slowly ran towards the food. So the verb is ran, but we've got more information there. So it's all the words. And a compound predicate, what did she do? Laughed at the dog's tricks and decided to adopt him. So two verbs. She laughed and she decided. Okay, so that's a compound predicate, more than one. Okay, so modifiers, phrases, and clauses add information about the subject and predicate and make the writing more interesting and clear. Okay, so we talked about modifiers before, so adjectives and adverbs basically. Phrases and clauses, they all give us more information and they make the writing more interesting and clear. So whether single words, phrases, or clauses, modifiers should appear close to the words they modify, especially if the reader might mistake what is being modified. So here's an example of a misplaced modifier. John could read the sign easily written in French. So could he read the sign easily, or was the sign easily written in French? It's not clear. So is the adverb easily modifying the way John reads or the way that the sign is written? So we need to make sure that that modifier easily is where it needs to be. So we need John could easily read the sign written in French. So we have to be careful when we're writing sentences. Okay, practice subject and predicate. So underline the predicates, circle the subjects. So again, subject, who or what the sentence is about, predicate, what did they do. Okay, so I'm going to take a nap. So we'll start with the subject. Who's going to take a nap? I am going to take a nap. The predicate, am going to take a nap. Okay. Number 2, I got in trouble, so I can't go to the party. So this is a compound. So the subject is I, and what did I do? I got in trouble, I can't go to the party. So we've got a compound predicate there. Number 3, being alone can be scary. What's the sentence about? It's about being alone. That's our subject. What about it? Can be scary. Okay, our verb is be in that sentence, so it's the predicate. Number 4, Mr. Morton, the best reading teacher in the world, taught me sentence structure. So who's the sentence about? The sentence is about Mr. Morton. That's the subject. What about Mr. Morton? He taught me sentence structure. That's the predicate. The verb is taught. Oops. Shouldn't have circled that. Number 5, Keith, Carrie, and Kyle bought donuts and ate them down by the river. So who did something? Keith, Carrie, and Kyle. We've got a compound subject. 3 of them. What did they do? They bought donuts and they ate them down by the river. So we've got 2 verbs. So again, a compound predicate as well. Number 6, I left early so that I could get some work done. Subject, who left early so who could get work done? I left early so that I could get work done. What did I do? I left early so that I could get some work done. So we get a compound predicate again. Crossing this street is dangerous if you don't look both ways before you cross. So what's dangerous? What's the sentence about? It's about crossing the street. What about crossing the street? It's dangerous if you don't look both ways before you cross. Number 8, if you don't want to study, you should stay at home. Okay? Who or what's the sentence about? It's about you. What don't you want to do? Don't want to study. You should stay home. Okay, so subject is you, and what do you want to do or not want to do? Don't want to study, should stay home. Number 9, I spend all of my money on things that I don't need. So who's the sentence about? It's about me, or about I. What about I? What am I doing? Spend all of my money on things that I don't need. Number 10, Mom said that I can go to the museum with you, but I have to be home early. Who is the sentence about? I. And what did I do? Can go to the museum with you, but have to be home early. Okay, so subject and predicate. All right, some common sentence errors. So as should mention, as I said, every sentence must have a subject and a predicate. Sometimes the subject is just understood to be you. It might not be a part of the sentence, but we know that it's about you. Okay, so some common sentence errors, and we're going to look at these later on, I think, in lesson 3 as well. So first of all, an incomplete sentence or a sentence fragment. So as we said, a complete sentence states a fact. Okay, it's complete thought. So each sentence in English must contain at least a subject and a verb and should be an independent clause. So it should make sense by itself. Examples of complete sentences without a subject or verb might include an instruction or prepositional phrase. For example, through the door, in the other room, or over there. Okay, those things do not make sense by themselves. They're incomplete. Through the door. What about through the door? In the other room. Well, what about it? Over there. Same thing. What about it? It's not complete. It makes no sense. This mistake is often made on tests asking a question with why. So why is he outside? Well, he walked through the door. Where is my shoe? In the other room. So answering with phrases, not sentences. So again, a couple of examples. Because Tom is the boss. Well, because Tom is the boss, that makes no sense on its own. Since he left work early without permission. What about it? So those are answers to questions, but they're not complete sentences. So when you're writing an answer to a question, you should be using a complete sentence so that the person doesn't even need to read the question to see your answer. So these sentences might answer the question, why did he lose his job? He lost his job because Tom is the boss. He lost his job since he left work early without permission. So using a part of the question, why did he lose his job, in your answer. He lost his job because. He lost his job since. Okay, Tom is the boss since he left work early without permission. Other examples of incomplete sentences introduced by subordinating clauses include, even though he needs help, if they study enough, as they had invested in the company. Those things, words, those phrases do not make sense on their own. They're not complete. Another type of sentence error is a run-on sentence. Sorry. Run-on sentences are sentences that, number one, are not connected by appropriate linking language, such as conjunctions, and use too many clauses rather than using periods and linking language, such as conjunctive adverbs. So the first type of run-on sentence leaves out a word, usually a conjunction, and, but, because, something like that. That is required to connect a dependent and an independent clause. So for example, the students did well on the test, they didn't study very much. That's a bit confusing. Something's missing from there. Anna needs a new car, she spent the weekend visiting car dealerships. So those are run-on sentences. Run-on sentences don't have to be, most people think a run-on sentence is really, 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 really long. Well, not necessarily. They aren't always super long. Sometimes they're just missing one word. Another common run-on sentence occurs when using too many clauses. This often occurs using the word and. So we went to the store and bought some fruit, and we went to the mall to get some clothes, and we had lunch at McDonald's, and we visited some friends. So the first examples, something is missing. The second one, there's too many ands. We need to get rid of some of those ands. Okay. Incorrect tense, using the incorrect tense in your sentence. Make sure that the tense used corresponds to the situation. So we talked about different tenses, past, present, future. In other words, if you're speaking about something that happened in the past, do not use a tense that refers to the present. For example, they fly to visit their parents in Toronto last week. So they fly is the present tense. Last week is past tense. So it should say they flew. Alex bought a new car and drives it to her home in Sioux Lookout. So bought is past tense, drives is present tense, so we can't have past and present in the same sentence. Alex bought a new car and drove it to her home in Sioux Lookout. Okay, so we're going to have to stop there because we're just about out of time. So if we look at our key question, key question 6, label each of the following sentences as declarative, interrogative, imperative, or exclamatory. Just read those sentences and label them, and then part 2, write your own example of the different types of sentences. So you write an exclamatory sentence, a declarative sentence, an interrogative sentence, and an imperative sentence. And then number 3, underline the subject in each sentence. And number 4, underline the predicate in each sentence. So subject, remember, who or what the sentence is about, and predicate is the verb, tells what the subject did or is doing. Okay? All right, so that's as far as we'll get today. So when we meet on Monday, we will finish up talking about sentences, and then we're going to move on to spelling mistakes. So